launch, but I know Harmeet's just been really busy in real life, just with his regular day to day. So it's really nice to have you guys here. And obviously, first and foremost, congrats on the initial success off launch.
Thank
I
you.
mean, the community's coming together nicely. Positivity is definitely there in the community. Hopefully, obviously, with a name like Integrity Coin, people are a bit patient and willing to give you guys some time to run up with this. So, yeah, I'll drop my title in here now. I'll start the recording. I got the link up. I'll send it to Jono once I'm done my recording, so you can get that pinned. And I think it's going to be a good one, guys. I apologize for the bit of a slow start to this one, but I'll make up with it with my intro. So I wanted to say thank you guys all for taking the time. So we got Harmeet and we have Jono here from the team at Integrity Coin. So as I mentioned in my write-up, this is a project that I've been in touch with for a couple of weeks. They launched back on August the 20th. It has been a good initial run-up, especially in these market conditions for the team. I know they were up a little bit, had a bit of a sell-off, but they've been fighting nicely over the last day and a bit to, have the chart looking healthy. They're sitting around just under 500K market cap with about 100K roughly in liquidity. So a nice ratio, 5-to-1, anything under 10-to-1 in the early stages is something that I'm a fan of, at least to keep an eye on. So that's a little bit about the chart. You guys know I hate charts. So now we're going to move on to the project itself. At its kind of inception, the initial utility that's being offered here through their high buy and sell tax is the BUSD rewards. So that's going to be essentially one of the selling features, one of those kind of, I'm not going to say shiny piece of shiny penny, but essentially it is going to catch people's eyes because we've seen a lot of hype and a lot of success of these BUSD or these reflections tokens in the past. And I know we're seeing a little bit of a throwback right now into the space of projects that have been themes that have been really successful previously kind of coming back, a bit of a retro vibe right now, the whole, make BSC great again thing. So for me, I do like how you guys are kind of playing off of, that deflationary aspect, having BUSD, high BUSD reflections for holders. And then there's a lot that you're doing that's not typical to a crypto project. And I mean, you touched on it a little bit, Jono, with when you mentioned Forex, but I'm going to leave that to you to jump into because that's your area of expertise, not mine.
Yeah.
And again, it's about kind of understanding how the token is going to function with some of those real world aspects you're looking to bring in. And then again, my focal point again on the back end, the last maybe 10-15 minutes of discussions, typically about community and then more about awareness generation on the marketing side. So that's a bit of an overview here about Integrity Coin. I'm going to kick it over to the team to introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into the project.
That was a good intro, by the way. I really like that, Maurice. You kind of you sped through it, but you got all the info out. Thank you.
I used to work in sales. Elevator pitches were my favorite.
You could tell. You'd be like a good, you could tell. You could introduce anyone to into a room.
Dreamed I would be on Dragon's Den or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to sell. So, I mean, what would I do? Go be like, hey, Kevin O'Leary, invest in Caesar's Calls.
Yeah. Maurice, I'd just take you in. I'd have the business. I'd just take you in as the guy who just hypes me up. And then I just walk in like...
Oh, look, we know if we ever do some sort of expo, Integrity Expo, we know who we're going to call as the main speaker, and I have to introduce all the other speakers.
Just give me a ring, I'll be there.
Okay, so shall I start, Hamid?
Yeah, it's all yours, mate.
Sort of what we're about. So for both of us, I'll tell you about how I got into where I am now, my experiences, and then I'll tell you how me and Hamid came together. So to start off with, for me personally, for me to get to where I am now and to have the confidence to really run something like this, because I know starting a cryptocurrency, it's like, in the fiat world, that's like, releasing a stock for your business. And, it's a huge responsibility because can't just think of ourselves and the project and how we're going to do. We have to do what's best for everyone else. So for me to even get to that point, because I don't think I could have done it, in long years ago. For me, it all started when about 4 years ago, I was in dead-end jobs. We're talking call centers. I worked in a casino for a while, and these were sort of low-level skilled jobs where, for me personally, I just didn't feel fulfilled, and so I needed to change something. So one day I just decided I'm going to quit my job, quit my life. I did everything, quit everything. I moved home with my parents, and I was like, right, I need to start again. I was 30 years old. You can imagine how that kind of felt. It was a bit strange to move back home again. And I just went on YouTube, and I literally typed in how to make money online. And I told myself one thing and one thing only. You will keep going with this. You'll keep going, see what YouTube algorithm throws at you, see what you find online. Usually it always ends up back to like something strange like cat videos on YouTube. But I just refocus, and I'll find loads of videos that are about entrepreneurs and that kind of stuff, and business ideas. And I told myself one thing: I've got to keep going until it works, until it's successful. And it was the first time in my life I actually committed myself that hard to something. So I decided to go for it. I found Amazon, lost some money on that, and I found eBay dropshipping. Now, as soon as I found eBay dropshipping and it started working for me, I sort of learned through my experiences. I had started a fun casino business in the past, so I had to learn to, Maurice, you probably know a lot about this. You have to learn to be the sales guy. You have to learn to do customer service. You have to learn to do accounts, admin. I hate admin. But you have to learn to do everything in a business. So those skills I really want to apply myself. Now I found eBay dropshipping, and for me, I pushed it so hard to the point where I was very successful with one store. And then I thought, well, if I can do this once, I can do this with multiple stores. So I created 5 stores, and I did the same on all 5 stores. And that was it. That self-belief in my head, just that switch changed. All those years, I felt like, I'm not good enough, can't do this. It changed completely. And the reason why I want to give you this little backstory is just so you know the kind of person I am coming into this, being part of this project, being part of the coin, being part of the team, and what I can really bring to it from a raw level, not just from my experiences. Now, experience-wise, I have been running my own businesses now for 4 years. I had one business I did run previous to that for the 3 years, so I've got a lot of experience in knowing how to fail, how to overcome failure. It's this there's a theme, when you're in business, you've got to run into something and then fix it. It's about solving problems, it's about overcoming them, and then moving forward and working as a team with people. So me and Harmeet met, funnily enough, we actually met on the year that I decided to quit my job. And I think that's insane, that the idea that we met, it's the start of all this. Like, it could have been any better time. Now, we met on a Bollywood film set. I was a bucket list. I wanted to be on a film. I signed up to an agency. Literally the next day, they said, we want you to be on a Bollywood film set. And I was like, okay, that's right. What am I cast as? You're going to be the Western male. I was like, so you want me to be the white guy in the suit? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was like, okay then. So went down to this Bollywood film set, had an amazing time, met all these amazing people, and Harmeet was one of them. And we exchanged numbers, and then after that, talked a little bit, not that much. Then years later, this is last year now, Harmeet's there playing on Call of Duty on Twitch. He's streaming it, and I decided to just jump in and start just randomly trolling him, saying, "Oh yeah, what Harmeet, I don't know." I've kind of half forgotten what I was going to say there. And then we got talking. Harmeet asked me how I was doing. Harmeet asked me, how's drop shipping, and I told him how everything was, how it was all going. He was interested, and then we got really talking, and he was telling me about Smart Chain, the Binance Smart Chain coins. And at the time, I was just into Ethereum and Bitcoin, long-term investor, and that was it. That's all I've been doing. All my research was just based on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I was really intrigued. It was actually Evergrow we first invested in. And, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. It was just moving around so much. The volatility was there, but we were really intrigued by what happens next, not just after the first 8 weeks, what continues. And we got talking, and Harmeet just said, well, why don't we start our own coin? And I just thought, whoa, I thought that's a bit much for us. Maybe we're not the type of people that can do that. But then Harmeet named it. He called it Integrity. And as soon as he named it, I thought, wow, this is real. And then I just realized all the experiences that I've got with my trading, so with my Forex trading, with my businesses that I've run, my dropshipping, my e-commerce experience, everything that I realized I could do, I could bring to the table. And the beauty of what me and Harmeet can bring is we have 2 different businesses, and we actually run them in completely different ways, which is amazing because we get on as people and we have different things that we can bring to the table. So I've sort of got that attitude of, right, right, let's do this, and then I kind of like will tackle the problems as they come. Whereas Harmeet's he manages well, he's got a more careful approach, and he can sort of rein me in some ways, and I can bring in different ideas. So I just feel like that was important to mention, that we work as well as a team. And I'll leave it over to you, Harmeet. So we kind of like got up to about November here last year.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, you're an expert at that part of the story now.
Not today. I've worked so hard today, man. The trading stuff, I have been on the trading stuff till the minute before this AMA. Literally, I have just been tweaking like all the settings, so my brain is already like, but cheers.
It just made me laugh because before you mentioned each part of the story, the mods were saying what was coming next in the story because they've heard it so many times.
I hate it. Leave me alone.
They know exactly, particularly Tom, he knows exactly what the story is now.
I will bring Tom into this. I want to challenge Tom into one of his AMAs and let him just do the full thing and see how well he does it.
The whole story, let's see how much he retains. But so Jono mentioned where we met. I'll mention a bit about my backstory leading up to that point as well. So I'm a dentist by profession. I have my own dental practice, which is my business, working within heavy regulation within healthcare. Myself, I currently hold, in essence, 3 degrees: an undergraduate master's in dental surgery, a bachelor's in dental surgery, and a bachelor's in oral science. At the point me and Jono met, I just graduated from my degree. I was doing all sorts of extra stuff just for fun in the background. Poetry, rapping, dancing, acting, etc. I was on part of different teams and doing different things. But anyway, me and Jono met back in 2017. Went our own separate ways again for, the next sort of 4 years odd. I think, was it 4 years odd? Yeah, 2021 we started talking again, mid-2021, maybe, beginning of 2021. Anyway, we started talking again, as Jono mentioned.
Sorry.
And then when we were looking at, you mentioned invest in Nevergrow, etc. At that point, I had a desire to do something, right? I was looking at other businesses I could open. I didn't want to just do dentistry and just be a dentist and that was it. I wanted to do something else. Dentistry's fine. I can do it. I'm skilled at it. But it wasn't exactly something I was passionate about. It's just something that I do because I can. And I was looking at all other sorts of things. I was looking at, clothing industry. I was looking at sort of marketing, advertisement sort of thing. I was going down different routes. I was exploring different avenues. But when we sort of jumped more heavily into the Binance Smart Chain and delved a bit deeper into the sort of startups rather than the major coins that everyone already knows about, it's already fairly established, we realized that we had an opportunity. Well, I definitely realized I had an opportunity here to open that business, which I was striving to open. I was striving to do something I was passionate about. And that's when I approached Jono. I said, look, Jono, let's do something here. Like we have an opportunity to make things better. This is new. This whole industry, this whole sector is new. We have a chance now to actually do something to improve the space, to do something different, to do things better. And at that point, the name just came to my mind, and that was Integrity, because that was exactly how we wanted to run our business, exactly how we wanted. That's how we run our personal lives. It's exactly how we want to run our business and professional life as well within the coin. So at that point, we were discussing, and we thought there was 3 major things, and we took this from our experience investing, our experience as newcomers, and our experience generally in business as well. And we amalgamated all of that to come up with 3 things that we felt we could tackle and wanted to tackle: accessibility, security, and stability. So those were the sort of 3 things that we noticed that was in desperate need within the space to be improved and to be worked on, and to help drive sort of the mass adoption of crypto as a space. And that's where our 3 main utilities came into. I don't want to keep talking. Are we supposed to keep going here, or is there questions? I'm about to go into the utilities, and I don't know if I'm supposed to keep talking into it or Ask
Yeah,
any
no,
question.
so for me, obviously, like what you guys have been offered and kind of like how you guys position this initially is the early utility. And, people define utilities in different sense. A token utility is obviously offering reflections, but in the sense of a crypto utility, people think about, a staking platform or an NFT marketplace or something like that. So in terms of coin utility or token utility, I think you guys obviously covered that with regards to your BUSD reflections. In terms of the platform, how you plan to integrate some of that forex trading and business experience into the growth of the actual ecosystem and integrity, I'd definitely love to kind of jump into that sector next.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reflections. This is the funny thing. The reflections are really high, but the reflections are just an add-on for us. So the reflections is there to give holders some passive income for holding our coin and giving us their time and support, but it's never meant to actually be one of the main utilities. I know with a lot of reflection tokens, unfortunately, they focus so much solely on the reflection side of things. We wanted to approach it slightly different, and we wanted to create a system where our income generating utilities or use cases, should we say, are given or able to be given back in 100% to holders, as opposed to the traditional buyback and burn and you receiving whatever the percentage for reflections were. Which is why in our contract we actually coded in a airdrop feature for BUSD. So if we can send, let's say we send $100,000 for argument's sake into the contract, that $100,000 would be distributed at 100% to holders based off their bag size, similar to how reflections would be, but at 100%, not at whatever the percentage would have been for whatever, at that point for the coin. So our idea is to bring the income in from these utilities and distribute it at 100% to holders, as well as obviously pay for business expenses like marketing and continual development for the project. So we've got three main utilities. Like we said, there was three aspects that we saw that really could be worked on to drive the adoption of cryptocurrency. There's accessibility, which we aim to do with the payment platform. There's stability, which is what we aim to do with the trading, or if you look at the white paper, the auto income generator. And then there's security, which is what the messaging platform is there for. What we'll do is we'll start off with the forex trading side of things, shall we? We'll go into that, because I think that's what a lot of people are very interested in and not really sure how it's going to tie into the coin, and they're not really sure how it works. So I'll let Jono go ahead and talk through that to you guys. That's his speciality, and I'll shut up and mute my mic.
Don't know why I want to talk about forex trading, because it's just loads of charts, Maurice, and I know how much you love charts. So,
I mean, actually, I used not a ton, but I used to have friends from university who got into that forex trading when it was 2013, 2012, 2014, when it was really like pumping.
Yeah.
And I had, friends in university buy houses like in university from doing some forex trading. So
nice.
My parents were always like, "That's too risky. You're not doing that." And I'm like, "Yeah, those like people you see on the internet who got all this money, and you're like, how did that?" One of those people went to my university and they made that money from forex, and I would see them on campus with their like Audi R8 and they're like 20, and I'm like, cool. You lucky man.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I didn't get at that age anyway. That would be so cool at that age, wouldn't it? At uni, and you got that kind of car. So yeah, it was a massive craze. 2007 to 2012, it was just everywhere. Like bot companies, loads of different things, all like loads of different words to call them, algorithms, bots, like all this kind of stuff. I don't know if you remember any of the names of them. There's one called like Fap Turbo, Megadroid, all these kind of names. They're cheesy names. So anyway, sorry, I was digressing. I was just like reminiscing in the moment. So with the trading side of things, what I decided to do is I trade myself and I make money for myself from trading. And that's what I was doing personally anyway. I was doing that. My experience in it, I've been on and off trading for about 10 years now, which is crazy to think about that. So I'm 34, so I started when I was 24. And but there were loads of ups and downs. Getting consistency. I would never call myself like an absolute pro, and I don't think anyone should unless they've been doing it their entire life and they managed to create consistency at the end of their trading career. And the reason why I say that is because the markets change all the time. So how it works for how we integrated it into integrity. I didn't mean to sort of put those two words, similar words in there. How we've managed to make it work for us and make it work for the ecosystem of integrity is, first of all, I had to think about how are we going to do it. Like how does it fit in regards to keeping the risk away from the holders? Because like you said, Maurice, your parents heard Forex and they were like, you're not doing that, the risk. And there's tons of risk involved. But me and Harvey put our heads together and thought, how do we eradicate the risk for holders and for the project itself, but still make money for the project? We're talking marketing, we're talking reflections, 100% going to the holders. That's what we're doing in the next payout. Then after that, there will be a split because we are planning to make sure we get in front of way more people. It starts here. The AMAs that we're doing now, this is the beginning. So that money is going to be used for so much more marketing, which again, I'll talk about in a bit, in regards to marketing as well. So the trading, so eliminating the risk, how we did that is I have actually got challenges, which they're called challenges, with proprietary firms. Now, if anyone doesn't know what proprietary firm is, we call them prop firms. I'm just going to put it in the simplest way possible. They are companies that get investors' money. So this investment they get. So this is nothing to do with our holders. And they then take that money, offer them a percentage. So they might say, we're going to give you 5% a year back to the investor. Then that company finds other people like myself who then takes on the challenge to show them that I can trade. And then I have to go through 2 phases. So once I've completed both phases, they give me a funded account that's up to $200,000, which is the accounts that we're going for, by the way. And then once we have that $200,000 in an account, we don't have access to it ourselves. Again, that is the investor's money, but we have access to trade on it. We're then given a percentage of the profits. Now, the reason why we've gone for this is purely because then the risk is for those third-party investors to take on. Because if we lose money on the account, we don't take any losses at all. We've just got to get that account back over break even and back into profit to be able to then withdraw at the end of the month. We get a profit split of up to 85%, so it's like 85-15. It starts at like 75-25 and moves to 85-15. 85% to us, by the way. We can then move that, and mostly in cryptocurrency as well. So you guys will be able to track the transfer coming in. So we can actually get paid out in crypto, and I'm pretty sure on most of the prop firms that we're going to go with. And so that's traceable. Now, we're only starting with one account, but you've got to remember, if I secure one account, and just like I've done in past in previous businesses, just like I do with my own trading, I'm going to scale it. So I'm going to get $200,000, $400,000. Now, I'm not going to say a number that we're going to get, and that's purely because I don't like to, and it's only in AMAs I really talk about in this much detail, because I'd rather get the results and then shout about it, tell everyone, look what we're doing. We're bringing money into the project. We've now paid for this marketing. We've now paid for these utilities. We've now done an airdrop of more reflections. Well, I suppose they're not reflections, but 100% instead of the buyback back and burn sort of way, which you get a percentage of the profit. Instead, all of it goes into the holder's wallet. So what we're planning on doing is scaling it up. And so in the future, at the start, we might be looking at anywhere between, say, $2,000 and $5,000 a month. But again, I only take what the markets give me. I've got to stay humble. I cannot get cocky or anything like that. I can't just predict how much I'm going to make. Maurice, you know what it was like with I'm sure your Forex friends who even made loads of money knew that there would be losing months and losing times as well. But that's why we took away all the risks so the project doesn't lose at all. That's phase 1. There is a future phase 2. I'll briefly just touch on that now. The future phase 2 is we are looking to trade reflections of the team wallet and of our wallet as well. So again, we're not using anyone. We're not going to get people to stake their BUSD or anything like that, because we understand people have got bills to pay. There's crypto winters. We understand, we follow Bitcoin, don't we, in terms of investment. So a lot of if Bitcoin goes down, then unfortunately people tend to hold back, and we don't want to take away people's option to be able to do what they want with their BUSD. So we want to keep that freedom. So you can reinvest into integrity, you can reinvest into other coins, you can use it on a payment platform. So what we're trying to do is making sure that the risk is completely taken away from holders, but you're benefiting from the income that we can generate, and it's very scalable. I mean, we're talking 7-figure scalable, and I'm looking to do that in the future because I'm doing that for myself personally, and I want to do it for Integrity as well. What, have I missed anything, Harmy?
So I was going to say, it links back to the coin when we talked about the three things and we talked about stability. As Donna mentioned about crypto winters, bear markets, etc. Coins that rely solely on crypto-related utilities and crypto-related profit and crypto-related sort of revenue and volume, etc., really struggle because everything drops. You know, people's spending habits change, people's trust in and usage of utilities change, and anyone who relies solely on that ends up going through a difficult time, and many end up closing down as a business. And we saw this as a business. We didn't see this as a crypto project. You see what I mean? We don't see it as a typical traditional kind of crypto project like you're mentioning, NFT marketplaces and whatever else. We saw this as a business. And we thought, right, we need something which will provide stability for the business and provide stability for holders in these bear markets and in these crypto winters and whatever else that go on when volume is low. And that's exactly where the Forex trading comes in. So like, to reiterate what Jono said, the only risk is a small fee to buy the challenge account. That's the only risk to Integrity as a whole. That fee is covered by the team, not covered by any investors. Okay, so the team wallet will cover that and whatever else. So that fee gets paid. Jono begins his trading. If the only risk is because if Jono loses the challenge, that small fee is gone and that's it. There's no other risk involved. There's no other money lost. If Jono passes the challenge, that fee is returned to us. So all of a sudden, any money made at that point is free money. There was no cost at that point because that initial investment had been returned. If Jono wins, all the profit is split. We get the majority of 85%. If Jono loses in that month, we lose no money. All that happens is we don't get a payout and we get given a bit more time to take it back over break even. And that's why it's zero risk to holders and next to zero risk for the project because there's only a small fee and that's it. And that gets returned. So I just wanted to sort of briefly go back over those points in case anyone got a little bit sort of confused or lost while Jono was explaining it.
Yeah.
And that's how it ties back into Integrity because that volume from an external market not related to crypto will be coming back into the project in times when the crypto volume is low, and it allows the business to continue. So because it's solid, sound business foundation, but also it allows us to airdrop in money to holders so that we can keep some level of consistency in the sort of reflections or money that you guys receive. Because I mean, I'm in a plethora of BUSD reflection tokens. And over the last 6 months, you know, I've made next to nothing at all. And the concept of passive income actually becomes very questionable because it seems to only be very passive in very selective months. And we wanted to avoid that. We wanted this to be a passive reflection token, which is why we also made the airdrop feature, which we've actually tested out, by the way. Forgot to mention that we actually airdropped in $8,000 into the contract, and it all completely distributed to holders. Everything worked fine. Everyone got that money into their account based off the bag size. So that's exactly what we aim to do going forward. So that's how the sort of trading side thing works on that front. So, I mean, are you happy for me to move to the next one, Maurice, or did you want to ask anything about that sort of trading side first?
I mean, I think you've done a good overview for everybody. I don't want to go too technical, obviously, because, it'd be interesting to listen to you talk about Forex trading, but I'm sure that's something you probably do within your community at times, right? Run some of those sessions and maybe add some expertise in there.
We should run some. I haven't run any yet. Honestly, this is all I do all day. But I haven't run any sessions yet. So it'll be something I'd like to do. I just if I'm not doing this, I'll be honest with you, I'm running an e-commerce business. I'm doing something else, and I'm always thinking of new income ideas for Integrity. Like every day, I'm like, I got this good drop shipping idea. I'm going to try out about 4 different products. He's like, all right then, Jono. So I'm like the income generator man.
I call him the Dell boy.
The Dell boy.
The Dell boy of the group.
Integrity Dell boy.
for anyone who's seen Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, that's true.
Otherwise,
That's a good point.
Completely lost joke on probably most people. But okay, so I'll move on to the next one then, which is the payment platform and sort of what that is. So the payment platform is actually a registered business in the UK already. It's registered under StablePay in the UK. And what is it? So basically, it goes back to one of the three things: accessibility, right? So mobile banking, you look at it, you believe it's real because you can use it, you can spend it, you know, your goods and services come, you see the values change. It all is real because of that. Mobile banking otherwise would be exactly like how you see crypto and numbers on a screen, right? People only believe it because they can tangibly use it, see it, and everything else. So we thought to take the same principle to cryptocurrencies. When I first started investing, my parents would turn around and say to me, well, can you even get that money out, or have you just given money into a scam? Because that's what they see it as, because they've never seen it anywhere or its usage anywhere. So we took that as our experience and thought, okay, let's flip this on its head, and why don't we tackle this as an approach, make it more accessible, make it usable, so that for mass adoption, people are more likely to see it as a real digital asset, and not this bubble which people are currently seeing it in as is completely separate to the real world. So we took that and we made StablePay, which is basically a platform, a payment platform that allows the use of stable coin currency to pay for goods and services. Now what happens is, it's a very simple platform. I'm not going to go into we're all going to do a big reveal. We've got an AMA coming up on the 21st of September, 21st. I'd like to say. Wednesday, the 21st of September, we've got an AMA coming up where we're going to, really actually properly discuss what that platform is. But in essence, it allows people to utilize a stable coin and we saw this when we created this. People can say, well, what's different between what you're doing, and what other people have done for payment platforms, right? We took this from an investor's perspective and a business perspective, okay? And we thought, okay, most platforms are either very heavily business orientated and it doesn't work well for crypto users, or it's very heavily user orientated, doesn't work well for businesses. We took our hats from both investors and businesses, and we thought, right, what is going to work here to increase the chance of mass adoption of these merchants who don't care for crypto to accept it? One of the biggest problems with cryptocurrency payment methods generally at the moment is the volatility of crypto. People aren't going to want to accept BNB, Bitcoin, or Ethereum because of the value which it has at one moment isn't going to have that value at the next moment. And no merchant who doesn't care about crypto is going to want to take payment in such a volatile method that could eventually make them lose money rather than gain money. The systems that automatically convert the cryptocurrency to money and send it across have very high exchange fees, generally astronomically high for that same feature. And this, again, puts people off because of the fee that's there. So we've created a system which is easy for users as an investor and as a user who just wants to go on something really quickly, get it done, get it paid for, and get it over with a low fee. And for businesses on a business thing to fit in with their business model. And we actually took advice from someone who is one of the biggest sort of payment gateways and services in America at the moment. And I'm not going to say who, because they don't want me to discuss who they are. But I actually discussed with them on a business perspective as well, how they work, how their system works, and how it integrates with businesses, so that we could take multiple perspectives and amalgamate it into one system which works so well for everyone involved. Because it's important. At the end of the day, without merchants using it, users have got nothing to utilize it for, and merchants aren't going to use it unless it ticks their tick boxes. So that's what basically we've created, and how that fits. But it's a separate utility to integrity and totally separate. Okay. So what we mean by that is, at the moment, we're going to accept USDC and BUSD, but we have the ability to accept any stable coin going forward that we want. We can just scale it up based off which ones we decide to use and implement and include. But what will happen is people will utilize the platform, and on their transactions, there'll be a very small fee. That very small fee on their transaction gets sent into a wallet. Now, that wallet would be under control of integrity. And then that money will feed back into the integrity ecosystem, either through, like we said, the airdrop reflections to holders, or through to, if we're going through a really bad bear market and the project needs funds to survive and continually develop, we'll go through that, and it'll be spread evenly. But the idea is a very easy to use, very small fee. And I think everyone's going to really love it. I can't wait to actually, I can't tell you divulge much more information on that yet, because we want to do this reveal at the end of September. And we realized, this is one thing again, actually, we forget to mention this in the AMA. We realized that uptake is, volume, and what it gathers is only based on uptake from merchants and the ability for people to spend it. So we've actually decided to create the first use case for it, not just the payment platform itself, but the use case which that payment platform can be used for. It's going to be something that you're going to find useful, is all I can say. It's not going to be a typical merch store or something like that. You can buy yourself a t-shirt to show how it's used. It's going to be, and there's strategic reasons for us doing this. First of all, it gives you guys volume and money coming in from the utility from day one. Second of all, it allows us to showcase its usage in a real-world application, a real-world system to other businesses. Thirdly, it gives us a report of how much income is being brought in from crypto users to be able to explain to other businesses exactly what they're missing out on by not incorporating such a useful form of payment. And there's another reason which I'm going to talk about in the AMA, because otherwise this will give you too many hints as to what we're doing. So the next one we'll discuss, and it's got a huge benefit towards uptake for a bigger adoption. I'll explain that when we do our other AMA about that at the end of September. So definitely keep that free for your diary. You're not going to want to miss that AMA if you're interested in this payment platform. It's going to have all the information you want to hear regarding this payment platform. So that's the payment platform in a nutshell. And the third one is the messaging service. So this goes back to security. We mentioned the three things: security. When you come into crypto, there's two things, first of all, that we really saw as a problem within communities and within conversations relating to crypto. The first issue being the security side of things. So when you go into Telegram, you join a new group, and this is perfect, because there's actually been a fake me messaging everyone today as well, saying, can you send me a
right now, isn't it?
So yeah, it's a perfect example of why the systems we have in place at the moment don't work. Crypto conversations we're having when we're discussing businesses, the financial conversations, we're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about financial conversations. We're having it on platforms where there is zero security, zero accountability, zero anything. And so many people, thankfully, so far, touch wood, not myself, but so many people have been scammed by users claiming to be admins, moderators, help desks, etc. Right? And asking them to connect their wallet somewhere or give seed phrases. And unfortunately, the majority of investors that come into crypto have no idea what they're doing. And no one does when they start. And so they trust what these people are saying. They get scammed. They leave crypto. It leaves crypto as a sector, as a space with such a bad name, no one wants to come in. And we're never going to grow when these practices are happening. So the messaging platform acts as a crypto dedicated hub, a crypto dedicated space where we're going to have features involved that will allow users the security to be able to know when it's an admin that's messaging them, if it really is, when they've been actually added to a legitimate group or a non-legitimate group, when they're being messaged from a legitimate person or not. And equally for projects, it gives them security as well. And the second thing was fragmentation of communities. You got Discord communities, Telegram communities, Twitter communities, people who only use one platform, not the other. Projects have got a split between 3-4 different platforms. It means that it's far more of a logistical nightmare for projects. Also, it's difficult for everyone to keep in touch. There'll be things that gets announced on Telegram that don't get announced on Discord. There'll be projects that don't open a Discord, like us, and then you'll have people saying, oh, where's your Discord? Where's Discord? Where's Discord? And it becomes a problem. So we decided we're going to take the best things from all the platforms, make them better, and put them into one, and add even more features into it. And because it's going to be dedicated and custom built solely for crypto, the idea is to bring all the communities into one place. So the community is together, and the project is together, and it's not split, it's not fragmented. You know this is the place to go for anything that you need crypto related in a safe and secure way. There will be profit generating elements to it that get added to it as well over time, and even more microtransactions as well as bigger transactions. We've got an exact sort of idea in our head of where it's going to grow into, but this is the idea of what it is, and it's there to provide security and to provide that kind of space that will allow crypto to evolve as it should and appeal to the wide market as it should, and pioneer and push forward the adoption of crypto. So this is sort of the three utilities that we have on our roadmap at the moment, and why.
Amazing. So, I mean, there's a lot for people to understand there. So I will kind of just dial it back to the more of a simplicity standpoint. And with utility, the thing that people always want to know, and the thing that I always want to know, is how do people holding the token, get involved with the utility? So is there a minimum amount to use some of the stuff that you guys have planned? And then I guess, what is the project going to do over time as you scale to maybe shift the tax a little bit lower and make the token versus the overall ecosystem more enticing for some of the bigger investors to jump in? Because I know a lot of bigger, whales and stuff like that, they often won't jump into projects if tax is, 10% or more, just because they feel like on bags that they're buying at that amount, a 15% tax at their buys, that can equate to a decent amount of money. Versus if you're buying, a 0.3 BNB, you're not going to think that way because the amount is negligible.
Yeah. So I think they're good questions. I think when it comes to needing to stake any tokens or have a certain set of tokens, we wanted to stray away from that concept. The problem when you start involving needing to have too much of a certain coin to do anything within a utility is you severely restrict the use case of it. You severely restrict the number of people who would be wanting to or willing to. For example, take the payment platform. Some people may want to go and just buy their next phone case, right, off a certain website, let's say. A small purchase, but they really want to just do that with their crypto. If you turn around and you say to them, well, you need to hold at least 1 billion integrity coins before you utilize this platform, they're going to be like, well, no thanks, I'll go elsewhere, and just walk away. And that's not what we want. We want passive income for holders, right? The use case for holding the coin is simple, and it's that the profits that get generated will be split obviously towards business practices, but will be dropped into the contract and divided amongst holders at 100% of what's airdropped. So what would benefit holders the most isn't having to hold a certain number of integrity where you get a small buy or whatever else of people buying so they can utilize the platform. Is to actually get greater volume running through at a lower tax, similar to how the pound stores work and how the likes of Primark work and whatever else. I don't know if you guys know Primark. I don't really know how international the brand is, but the concept is that you get cheap and cheerful, should we say, which has volume running through it. The small amount of tax that then gets taken on a huge volume becomes a large sum of money that gets created for the project. But what's beneficial for the holders of the coin is to have it as all-encompassing as possible, because that increases more volume running through it. It increases the ease of use. It reduces the barriers, and that increases the money raised, which also inevitably increases the amount that goes into investors' pocket. And ultimately, like I mentioned before, the reflections from the token are a side thing at the moment. They're there to give investors who are holding and waiting for this ecosystem to build out a source of passive income for holding. That's it. I mean, in the future, if we are generating, we've got 7-8 trading accounts generating consistently high income every month. We've got a payment platform generating consistently high income every month. The taxes all of a sudden won't become so much of a thing. The reflections won't matter because the money's coming in from the utilities. And then there can always be a conversation of, should we look at reducing the taxes slightly? Yeah. Do we need the taxes so high now?
Yeah.
But that'll be a conversation for down the line, right? When everything is where it should be, and everything is exactly, it's bringing in that income passively, and holders are getting that income passively. and realizing exactly what we're trying to build. So that's something that will be discussed further down the line. But that's why we haven't gone down the route of you have to hold X number of integrity or stake X number of integrity to be able to utilize a platform. If you want to utilize a platform without it, go ahead. It's going to help drive crypto adoption. It's going to make it more accessible. It's going to make crypto only better. But if you want to earn something back from people utilizing these platforms, that's why you hold integrity. And that's where we pitch the idea.
Terrific. So, from a naming perspective, we've seen projects come into the space and utilize names like, for you guys, integrity. I've seen, a trust DAO. I've seen, anti-rugging, like one that was a project that Caesar and myself kind of, so with the name itself, sometimes in crypto, people will, because of, past projects that have misused, positive or names like integrity and stuff. So how do you go about changing just some of the negative perception that might come your way before people even know anything about the project?
I think, well, one thing I think that me and Hamid do well is we always make sure we show our faces, and we always give you a bit of insight into who we are, and we're very active in our own communities as well. So when people come in, they can talk to us and we will respond. We're not just these like CEOs in the background type situation. Because we're always showing our faces and we're always interacting with people, we try and make sure that whatever they want to ask, we're going to be the ones speaking to them, or we're going to be there to put them at ease. So we hope that people can see us believe in the project, and then they start to believe in a lot more. And as we unravel what we can do and we can show them, because we know we're not like a flash in the pan, buy 1,000x in 10 seconds type coin. We know that it's probably going to be a steady race. It's going to be we're in for the long run. But that's why we're really focusing, now that we've launched, we're really focusing on the utilities, and over time you'll see that as the utilities get released and they grow and get bigger, it's not just going to stop there. It's going to keep scaling, and then new ideas will come out, but only when the first ones are done and secure. And so we're hoping that people will see that in us. So it might not be an instant thing, hey, your name is, that's a bit of a big positive name, like you said. You might be a bit wary of it, but over time I think people will see that what we're about, what we can do, and that we are doing things with integrity, and we're hoping that you guys will believe in the project just as much as we do.
And I think to add to that, at the end of the day, the only way to combat stereotypes or negativity towards a certain thing is to show the opposite. You're never going to be able to convince someone with your words that you are a certain way if they've been and had experience of the other way. Like you said, someone's got anti-ruggers and they rug you. Yeah. You're obviously going to be cautious of anyone else who mentions anti-ruggers. That's clear.
Makes sense.
And we're aware of that, and it makes sense. We understand, but the only way that it's going to be combated isn't through words. It isn't through anything other than our actions. And our actions and what we do that will over time show people that we mean what we're talking about. We've done the standard stuff, we're KYC'd, we're audited, we're doxed, we've done plenty of video AMAs, our faces are everywhere. We'd be pretty dumb to try and scam people now anyway. It'd really be pretty stupid. Yeah. I myself have got a professional license with the General Dental Council. I would lose my professional license if even hint of this was to happen, and that's my livelihood. So, yeah. Why I would do that, I wouldn't. But I understand for people that's just words, because their experiences are hugely different to what we're trying to do. And over time, they will come to realize, when we are still here in the future, when we are still, doing everything we can to prove it, they'll come to realize that we are what we name ourselves, and we are what we're about. But it's not going to be an overnight struggle. People are going to watch, people are going to judge, people are going to talk bad about us. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what people think and what people say is irrelevant to us. We know what our mission is. We know what our goal is. We know what we're trying to achieve. The community members that have been with us from day one know exactly what we're trying to achieve. They've seen it in action when we've delayed launch because we thought it could be a potential problem with the contract, when we've been completely transparent with everything that's going on. We had to put it into perspective, when we were going to launch back in March, we had so much hype about us. And I don't even mean this in like, any kind of, egotistical way, but we were all over Twitter. I mean, one of our posts got like 600 and something retweets. And this was within like a month of our group actually going live. And within a couple of weeks of us thinking, our group was going mad with conversations. But we still delayed launch, even though it killed the hype of the project. Because for us, it wasn't about the hype. For us, it was about doing things right the first time, every time. And if that took time, if that required delaying, it required delaying. And that was it. That was fine. We didn't take decisions based off perspectives of other people or based off hype or anything like that. We made decisions based off what was best for the project and based off our name integrity. And because of that, we've had a flawless launch. And it was a flawless launch. And I don't mean that in price action. I mean that in, with the grace of God, everything with the contract worked flawlessly. The rewards, the reflections, the 100% airdrop, the buying, the selling, there was no problems because we took the time, and that's what we aim to do, and that's what we will continue to do things right the first time, every time, regardless of whether or not it's a popular opinion or not. And so over time, hopefully people will come to learn to trust us like our community has, and they'll see that we are what we're about.
Well said.
Very well put. And again, it does take exposure to connect for one person, but I think just sometimes until people are willing to at least give you guys a shot or join the Telegram, you're going to get hit with that. So again, you guys aren't looking for something, short term. We're talking about an AMA in September, on the 21st of September. So that clearly shows like a long-term mindset, and that you do have plans in place expanding, beyond a couple of days, a couple of weeks. So for me, the AMA in September is a great thing to kind of draw on, because it shows that, the community should be really engaged with you putting efforts and dates in place like that far out. So hopefully it's conceived the right way. And again, I think it's good to have, milestones or little dates to work to as a team and as a community.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I guess within now some of the questions I was talking about with like, community and marketing, now within more of the traditional marketing sense in crypto, being that it is a bit of a different style project. It's not just, a coin. We do staking, we're having a platform that we're building of some kind. You're trying to inject revenue, like Jono says, into the project to benefit holders that way. So I guess from a marketing standpoint, what have you found is kind of the most difficult thing with people connecting or understanding the project when you're pushing it out there?
I've just from experience so far, it's transitioning people from different platforms as well. I think it's getting people to go from just seeing a tweet to getting them in Telegram, and then transition that into an investor. So there's kind of like that transition we've found is been quite challenging. We know that we can get a tweet out there. We know we can get lots of likes. But if we just did that every time we saw someone an influencer who could tweet about us or post about us, then it would just fall flat eventually. We'd just have loads of cool numbers, loads of stats to look at. So at the moment, we are really trying to focus on having a really strong community. So we've got amazing mods. We've got Tom, who we call him the mod father. I know he's in here right now. We've got Jab, who is the guy who does the amazing GIFs. All the little pictures he does, so good. I've never seen someone as good as that. So we've got an amazing team, and what we're trying to do is when people come in, they can then see what we're all about. Because we understand there's always going to be a challenge with people wanting to actually invest in integrity. We want them to do so, but there's not going to put any pressure on them. Now, with the marketing, we understand that we need to put the money in the right places. So I know that if you look on our white paper, it says 0% goes into the marketing wallet. But you've got to remember we are using money from the team wallet, the reflections, and also the money from the utilities, including the Forex trading. And we wanted to do 0% going to the marketing wallet at the moment, because we wanted to put extra in reflections going back into holders' pockets or holders, wallets. So with that said, we are working with we've worked with Blockwiz, we've worked with CryptoVary. These are marketing companies. So we know we needed some guidance. You know, in my own businesses, I've had to create YouTube ads, Google ads, all this kind of stuff. I've learned that myself, which I will apply to integrity. But I know that you can't just do that. You know, we focused on going to Telegram groups because we know that transition is much easier because Telegram's Telegram. It's a user interface they're used to. And then we've used Twitter because we know how big it is on in the crypto world. And then we've used YouTube for that extra social proofing. I know that when I first got into cryptocurrencies, I went on YouTube to research those names. So we're getting a name out there so that people can see that. And even this, you know, AMA today, that'll be going on our YouTube channel. Obviously, we had your permission. But you know, we're making sure that we're growing ourselves in terms of on different platforms. So it's like we got the fast marketing, which is, you know, using a company, influencers, and then we got the slow growth marketing, which is we're actually going to build our YouTube channel out. We're going to add content. I'll do videos about trading. We'll do videos about how to do something in the crypto world, or just educational videos. So again, it's building that user interface, that user base, and those subscribers, so we can then slowly convert them into our groups, and hopefully one day into our own messaging platform, of course. But for now, into the Telegram community. So they're the kind of angles of attack we've tried, and where we're going forward as well.
And I think to add to that, I think two very big things that have acted as could have acted as hurdles as well on the marketing front to doing that conversion to investors is the high tax, which in these kind of markets, people are looking for lower tax, quick flip kind of things to generate some income rather than looking for longer term holds. People have already been in long term holds throughout this whole down period bear market, and they're not looking for a lot more long term holds. They're looking for quicker flips, which is not what we are. And the other thing is probably a lack of understanding of what we're trying to generate. Like I said, we're not a traditional sort of crypto project business, whatever you want to call it. You know, we mentioned NFT marketplaces, people understand. You mentioned staking, people understand. You mentioned blockchain, people will understand, or exchanges, and you know, people will understand that kind of stuff because it's what they're used to investing in a company. Whereas, you know, the forex market is a complete blank to most people, as it was to me before I started speaking to Jono.
Can you remember the first time we mentioned? Can you remember the first time we mentioned forex trading, and people were just like, "Whoa, no, don't start doing that!" As if we're suddenly going to be like using the crypto from project and putting it in, and oh man, we had all kinds of questions.
There's that confusion. There's even no matter how much we try to explain it, there's no risk to you guys. There's confusion. As soon as someone starts mentioning forex, people get confused about risk, and they're going to take on money, they're going to trade it, they're going to lose it, and they're going to close down, which is not what we're doing.
No.
So I think that there's a few barriers to understanding what we're trying to achieve, and that what we're trying to achieve and will become more apparent as we achieve it. So what we're doing right now, I find, is we're getting a lot of people in the group. We have a lot of people listening, a lot of people watching. Our whole mod team is fantastic. We've got a small mod team. There's not a lot of us compared to in a lot of other sort of projects, but all the mods we have from start to finish are fantastic. Every single one has stood by us throughout our ups and downs, throughout our delayed periods, throughout all of that. They stood by us and they've been fantastic. So we've got people in and we're engaging them, and the mods are engaging them in a fantastic way and keeping them in the community. And then when they start to realize the profits being airdropped in, when they start to see that revenue being generated and returned, then the light bulb will flick on in a lot of people's minds that are looking at it. Then they'll be able to see physically what we're trying to explain to them our vision is. Right now, they don't understand the vision. So I think a lot of the marketing will actually come word of mouth as well as heavy marketing campaigns when those profit-generating utilities start to really show that revenue being given back to holders. I think that's where the long term. So right now, we're kind of, you know, we are where we are. We're going up slowly, or, you know, we're going to be steady while people are watching. We're having a lot of people watching us, which is why we're getting out in front of a lot of people now. You know, we're getting out in front of people so they know who we are and what we're doing, and they can watch. And when they feel ready, it's the right time for them to invest. And that's when these utilities start to really come to full swing. I predict, it's not financial advice, I don't know, but I predict you're going to start to see those buys start to come in naturally, regardless of what the tax percentage is, because then they're not buying anymore to trade it or to sell it for profit. They're buying it for that passive income, and that's exactly what we're trying to be. We're trying to be a real passive income coin and not one that just sort of states they are. So I think that's just an important thing to add on the marketing front.
Yeah. Maurice, over to you.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Just took a second to come off mute there.
Right.
And a little bit now on the community side, because there's a difference between marketing and then what you guys do kind of within the community to engage with them.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have running up right now? Are there any contests? Do you guys have any referral programs built in? Maybe, again, playing off that suggestion about maybe being able to offer some kind of courses or seminars in terms of getting people just to understand a little bit more about even what Forex is in the community. So yeah, that's kind of where my question's geared to with this one, guys.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, Tom, our head mod, he actually asked me if I could do a video, and we'll probably put it on a YouTube channel, just so people have an understanding of how we're doing it, and then maybe a basic understanding of how I look at the markets, or just how someone can get into it themselves on a basic level. So that probably is going to come out now. I am away next week for a week. Doesn't mean I'm away from the project. I'm just I'll have my laptop with me, but it just means I won't be able to make the video then. But over the next 2 weeks, I'll release something so there's a bit more information, and also something that people can just call upon. So if someone's new to the group, so the community can look at it now, and then someone new to the group can come in and they can just see a bit more information, and then based on the feedback from our community, I can make another video as well, and then so maybe even make a little series for people. So I actually found that was a good idea from Tom, and it's probably good that you're mentioning it too, because it's clear that I think it's information that people want to know and people want to know more about.
And right now, I think with regards to the community side of things, I mean, we've not got any active competitions running or referral programs yet. That's something which we're not doing just yet. Right now, the community is just engaged because they support the project. I mean, most of our community members that are there have been with us for months. We've been developing integrity since November last year. We became public as a Telegram group in February this year. So we're talking, 6.5 months, over 6.5 months now, that we've been public, right? Public facing, should we say.
Yeah.
And a lot of our community members have stood by. So actually the community space is just a nice place to be. A lot of people often say it's like their safe space. They go there, they know they're going to have a good conversation. There's going to be a lot of positivity. There's going to be good energy, a good atmosphere. So that's sort of what keeps people engaged now. Right now, what we're doing is we've got our heads down in utility. Jono is heads down in the Forex trading and that element of stuff. Me and Prab are heads down in the payment platform side of things. It's growing. We're growing it. It's constantly evolving, and every time it evolves, we add a new thing to it. And we want to first get what's actually really going to hold investors in, and that's the utility, and that's the revenue being generated by it. Once they come to light and they start coming into their own, then we can start throwing out competitions, and we can start throwing out all sorts of things. Because like we said, it's all about the conversion, right, of bringing people in to bringing investors. Okay, and throwing out competitions now will do nothing but utilize project funds or tokens, depending on whatever the giveaway is, to not translate into positive action for the coin, generally speaking. So it would be very much not a good use. And we're looking at this from a business perspective, right? Not from hype or anything else, purely business perspective. It would not be a good use of funds to throw it out now in a market that isn't particularly great, when we haven't got that thing there, that spark to really intrigue people to then convert that into purchasing. When those utilities come out, it'll be a whole different ballgame. Then you will see that engagement, that marketing, everything just ramp up. That's when we're going to start really getting in front of people. And we've already got plans of how we're going to do that, everything laid out. But I've always believed that the right thing done at the wrong time is still the wrong thing. And so we're following a certain roadmap, a certain strategy to get us to the right place quicker, but also in the most business viable and business savvy way.
You guys are really strong on the Q&A side of things. So I know it just obviously makes for a much better two-way discussion here.
I think from my end, we've kind of covered off. You went over those utilities that you guys have on in mind on the roadmap. Harmeet, Jono covered off, a lot about the forex and his different kind of ventures that he goes through to try and add inject additional revenue, kind of maybe improve the treasury and stuff like that. Just the more that you can give a project in terms of funds to utilize for further development of the ecosystem, ways to give back to holders, to kind of maintain or sustain the platform, the better. So I think that's a really strong approach. And the one thing I would inquire about is maybe any revenue that you might look at from an advertising perspective, and how that might look to benefit the project as well.
So I don't know if I understood the question properly. Were you saying money that we're going to spend for advertisements, or would we provide advertising to bring in revenue?
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you ever look to provide advertising for, I don't know if you would look at, crypto projects to start and then maybe scale up, or?
I mean, there are, we and Johnny were just talking about this in WhatsApp before we actually even jumped on this call. There are plans. When you see all-in-one crypto messaging platform, you think it's just going to be a slightly beefed up Telegram or a slightly beefed up Discord. I can't stress enough the ecosystem that's going to be within itself, within the ecosystem. That is going to be, again, we've taken our experiences from Telegram and from Discord and whatever else, and we've drawn up a plan to make it a really all-in-one, all-encompassing space. And within that, there will be elements like you mentioned there about advertisement related, but there'll be way other forms of income generation from microtransactions as well as larger purchases involved in that. So yeah, that's definitely something that's in there. But when it comes to the messaging platform, I'll be completely honest with you. When it comes to anything, I play the cards really close to my chest. And the reason why I do that is because, unfortunately, with this space, there's a lot of copying that happens. There are a lot of people that will hear an idea and they'll instantly copy it, but they'll do a hash job of it because they want to just be the first one to do it. Let's just get it out there. And it really then ruins what we're trying to achieve because, we mentioned experiences earlier. When someone's had a negative experience, it's really hard to convert that to a positive experience. Whereas if they just had the positive experience the first time, it's a completely different ballgame. So we're holding those cards close to our chest with the messaging platform particularly, because we're not close to anywhere near getting that out to market yet. We're focusing purely on the real income generating utilities first as a business, so we have a stable source of income for ourselves and for holders, and then we're going to move on to that. So that is there, and there are elements of that in there, but I can't go into too much more detail with that just yet.
Oh, that's fair. I respect that. I mean, I've had a number of ideas I've implemented to my AMAs stolen by other channels, and then I see them be like, "Hey, look at this cool idea I made." I'm like, "What?" It's happened to me with a couple of different things, and I've actually messaged some other channel owners, being like, "Boys, if you're gonna take my idea, at least give me some credit. Like, come on."
Yeah.
Right. So. I completely understand, man. It's one of the things that I really struggle to get over with this space. It's just the lack of, I guess, it'd be nice if you say something, if it would stay. I guess the lack of confidentiality would be the best way to put it. I mean, you could take it a couple different ways. Sometimes you see it as you say something to somebody, they misconceive your message and they forward it around the entire Telegram space. That's the thing with this. It's insane. I come from the corporate world. This is still, even though I've been in this space for 10 months, some of the stuff I see and shouldn't shock me, but it honestly does. Cause I still think back to my old, my schooling in university and all those years I worked in corporate. And then I see some of the stuff that happens here. I'm like, oh my goodness. A guy, we hosted actually an AMA where we found out live that I thought I was hosting a team I'd been talking to for 4 days. Turns out a team took their name and was launching a fair launch, and they booked an AMA in before the other team. And I'm like,
got a message from that team, and like, bro, why are you hosting a project that's not us with our name? And I was like, I thought this dude was on your team. And they're like, no. So I had to call this guy out in my AMA, being like, why did you steal their idea? And he's like, hey, it's their fault if they're not the first ones to act. And he pretty much like flaunted that he was proud of taking another team's idea in my AMA. And I had to edit a disclaimer after the AMA. I was like, guys, don't buy this. Please don't buy this. And I put it on the channel, don't buy this, because I was like, he gave me nothing and was proud about taking an idea. Like, I get first mover advantage, but like you said, I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that, you know, you just did it to take the hype away.
Yeah. It's genuinely, I think it comes from the mindset of the people investing as well. And this is it's just what I've experienced. The type of people that invest in crypto are very different to the type of people that invest generally in sort of stocks and shares. And I think it also comes down to what's expected. It seems to be the expectations revolving around how a crypto business runs, how the team are supposed to be, and what's sort of this whole also sort of 1000x mentality that's in there, that people don't realize that it is just a business as well. And the same thing that, like you were saying there, the whole stealing ideas, the whole, you know, people forwarding things out of context. It's actually it's ingrained. Unfortunately, it's a systemic issue. It's not a single issue. It's a systemic issue with the whole way, from the way that investors perceive crypto to be, all the way through to how actually teams and leaders perceive how projects should be run and how businesses should be run in the crypto space. And until there's a radical shift in thought, and I think unfortunately that's only going to come when there's a greater level of accountability, both within investors and teams, because they're both in the wrong in their own ways, that actually we're going to see a very positive change, and a positive change that will then allow sort of more institutional investors to get involved. But right now, I think I agree with everything what you're saying. The whole space, unfortunately, as a whole, is quite immature. I think the idea is over time, through exposure, through teaching, to mature the scene and to make it where it should be, to fit in more in line with common business practice. And that would really is what's going to pioneer and grow the whole system. It's really cool to hear you say that, because I've been kind of preaching that online and offline to people I talk about crypto forever. Is you know, I live in a pretty populated area where I'm at, and I got a dog, so I'm always, you know, when I have time, out on the street. There's a guy that I've talked to about stock trading since I moved in here in my building since April, because we're invested in the same like new age medicine company called Mind Medicine, which is focused on, you know, psilocybins and trying to utilize, you know, mushrooms and that type of stuff to help with depression and, you know, that like PTSD. And as somebody who's, you know, had friends and, you know, dealt with some of that stuff myself in the past, I was a big believer. So I bought into this company a long time ago. Him and I were just chatting on the street. Turns out he bought his condo with a down payment from money he made on that exact same company. And I was like, oh, small world. And he's like, yeah, I got in around 32 cents a share. And I mean, at the peak, it was like $6 and something. And at 32 cents, you could throw a lot of money in. I mean, I got in at about $1.42.
Wow.
Around that. So like, you know, there was some money for me to be made in that space, but again, it's kind of one of those ones like high risk, high reward type thing. And talking to him about crypto and what I do on the channel, because he was asking me, I hadn't seen him in a few months, and I was like, I try and preach, you know, more business sense, kind of pull it back to how, you know, if you look at crypto like you would look at a startup, and how you would invest in a company on like a GoFundMe or on a Kickstarter or something like that, where there's a lot of risk, but again, you know, those things will raise sometimes 10, 20, 15 million dollars, and sometimes the product never even launches. But people don't look at that sometimes as lost money or a high risk play, because, you know, they're trying to support a tangible product that they see. And you get into crypto and everyone's like, it's all fake, there's nothing real, like, then, you know, so the mindset just shifts so much. So what I've been trying to do for like 9 months is bring the mindset back a little bit more, so that as the real world and crypto start to align a little bit better, our channel is just kind of in that mindset already, and they're just set to boom. So I mean, it takes time, but I just really like that Harmeet mentioned that, because it's something that I've been trying to push here for months.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's that's a very admirable thing that you're doing. I mean, it's very admirable that you're trying to achieve that, and no doubt you probably get a lot of pushback from a lot of people trying to achieve that as well, because, like I said, it goes against the common way of thinking, unfortunately. And I found this quite heavily, unfortunately, also in the crypto space, is the mob mentality that's there within projects or within investor groups, or if you say one thing that they don't like, rather than having an actual conversation about it and expressing views in a very mature way to come to a common consensus, it becomes a witch hunt, and it becomes trying to lynch you for having your own opinion. So I think it's very admirable what you're trying to do, and more of that is needed in the space as a whole to be able to make it more. And again, I'm completely off topic here, but I mean it's little things as well. Like I've seen projects where the founders or the main members of the core team are, in trying to be honest and build people, are actually really rude and really aggressive, and either passively or actively aggressive. And I sit there thinking, well, in real life, this would never stand as a business. So if a CEO of a company were to speak in the way that some of these CEOs speak, they would be gone. They would be gone from that company instantly. And yet it seems to be accepted within projects as well, in teams, that the CEOs, out of trying to be completely real and honest, are actually just being really rude and unable to articulate their points in a very professional manner. And until we get that professionalism across the board within teams, within investors, the space isn't going to grow. It's just going to take time for people like yourself to make that kind of change and change the mindset of people who are coming in, and getting that kind of guidance to change their mindset for the space to slowly get to where it actually needs to be.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, sorry to go off topic there, guys, but I just think it's a refreshing conversation. And I think projects who have that mindset, again, you're not going to catch every person in Telegram, every person in crypto, regardless. It's kind of funny because I've jumped into some projects, not so much recently, but I used to jump in and be like, oh, like it was a low cap, and be like, yo, you're like, what are you doing here? You say you hate degens. I'm like, doesn't mean I don't want to check out a good community. Like, I'm still in the space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just funny how that gets perceived. But again, I would like to open it up here for a couple community questions to be able to chat about integrity here. So I'm going to go first to Greed, and then I'll try Anderson after that. And I know Buck sent me 6 questions already, so there's a few to choose from in there.
Go for it.
What's going on, Greed?
What's up, Maurice? Doing good. Hey guys, how you doing?
I agree.
Hey, great. All good. How are you?
Thanks.
Doing good.
Nice one.
Doing good, man. Yeah, my question is actually, that's part one. First off, what's your strategy in ensuring adequate liquidity or on exchanges to fill those market orders, especially when adoption comes and grows and investors begin to multiply over the years for your project?
Good question.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that, Johnny. What was the question? It's something about liquidity. Something about liquidity. I didn't. Sorry. After liquidity, you went a bit muffled, and I couldn't quite hear that bit.
Oh,
How do you handle liquidity? Sorry.
Yeah. What's your strategy for ensuring adequate liquidity on exchanges to fill those market orders?
Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the exchanges bit I didn't hear, which is why the question didn't make sense to me. But now I know the question. Right. So exchanges. Now, where we stand on exchanges right now is that we aren't actively pursuing them yet, and that there's a reason why we're not doing it. Is the common consensus is get listed on as many exchanges from day one to build that hype, to get exposure, which is great. But the problem is that there's 2 problems to doing it. And the first one is the initial cost of getting listed on all these exchanges really drags from funds that could have gone into development and marketing on the project to really build it up. And the second thing, being a reflection token, is listing on all these exchanges actually splits the volume, so everyone gets less, as opposed to having more volume on the one and everyone getting a share of that. So whilst we do plan to go on exchange at some point in the future, we do have actually in the not the team wallet, in the deploying wallet, which doesn't receive any reflections, by the way, so it's not taking out your share, but we've kept 50 trillion tokens for that reason. We've got 50 trillion tokens sitting there ready to give to exchanges when we feel it's the right time for us, but it's not the right time for us yet, and it won't be anytime in the near future. And if we ever need more tokens than that, we can buy it back out of the decentralized exchange pool and sort of provide it for any kind of exchanges that we need it for. So that's how we plan to deal with liquidity. However, our focus isn't on exchanges anytime soon. We just want to build the project first, build a business, build a use case. Then we can consider getting the exposure increased.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think, that'll be it. And by the way, how does the team track this reflections or rewards towards their investors? How would you do? What's your process for that?
Tracking reflections. Do you mean from the contract sales and the reflections that are going out?
Yes.
I don't understand the question. What do you mean? How do you track the reflections? So
I'll just simplify the question instead. Let's say I'm an investor and I try to invest in your project. And what's your process in getting those rewards? Is this like a first come, first serve basis?
No, so it's just purely based off bag size. So the reflection side of things is when the contract hits a certain threshold, the next time a sell is made, it swaps whatever the swap threshold is, and it goes to the distributor address as a normal sort of reflection token would, and be divvied on people based off their bag size every hour. The way the airdrop feature would work is a very similar manner, except for it's not contract sales. We just send the BUSD to the contract. That moves into the distributor address, and in a similar way to how the reflections would have worked once it's in there, gets allocated to people based off bag size, and then gets distributed to them. So it doesn't matter when you invested or anything like that. What matters is what the size of your bag is, which is indirectly or directly also then related to when you invested, because obviously the cheaper price now, the more you invest, the bigger your bag size compared to further down the line. But the airdrop feature is a fully automatic process built into the smart contract itself. So we don't allocate ourselves, okay, this individual is going to get this much, this individual is going to get this much. Whatever we send into the contract gets distributed as normal reflections would have, but just at 100%.
There's actually been reflections have been generated just now in the last few minutes. Just looked at the chart. Oh yeah, there's some reflections.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for answering my questions, Harmeet and Jonna. Thanks, Maurice. By the way.
Cheers, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Great to hear from you.
Thanks.
So we have one here from Sujay. So he had asked, he normally jumps on mic. I think he's just busy right now. He asked, why would you guys perform a manual burn on this one? Why not have it automatically put into the contract? And what would be your target circulating supply that you would be burning up to?
The reason why manual and not automatic is because it gives us a slightly greater degree, to some extent, of a burn. We wanted to be able to stop the burn when we felt we had hit the right kind of supply that we wanted, or equally, if we felt as though it wasn't the right time for a burn to necessarily occur at that point, we wanted to be able to use it at the times where we think the burn was most effective for the coin and for the supply. In terms of what our thoughts are on sort of the supply we want to burn it to, I think that's variable. We haven't got a fixed figure to say, right, the moment we burn it to this, it completely stops. I think we're going to be constantly sort of reviewing it as we're burning it, as the project's going on, to decide at what point actually this is it. We're happy with the supply where it is. And then maybe continually in the future after that, continuing the burn, it's going to be a very fluid thing. We haven't got a set specific target or set specific figure that we want it to be. It's going to be very dependent on the situation at hand. So that's why we chose manual instead of automatic.
We've already burnt some as well of the coin.
Yeah, we burnt 36%, I think, so far. Over 36%, nearer to 37 now, I think, actually. I'm not sure exactly. 36 point something percent.
Perfect. I mean, that's solid, and I appreciate the answer and good question, Sue. So we'll get Anderson up here, who I mentioned would be second there after Greed. So Anderson, floor is yours whenever your mic's ready.
Hey man,
Picked up.
Hey.
how is going over there?
Hi.
Good. Thanks for coming out today.
Yes, sir. All right, so I just got a couple of questions. And it's stated on your web's white paper that they do have 18% sell tax and 20% buy tax. Is that correct?
No, so it's on the white paper it says 18% buy, 20% sell. However, it's also mentioned that the taxes are interchangeable and to confirm with the community before you make a buy or a sell. Right now, we've reduced the buy tax to 15% just because of the market. We wanted people to get more bang for their buck and get more coins for the amount they purchase. Sell tax has stayed at 20 for a normal sell. Part of our anti sort of dumping features, we do have a higher tax on our higher levels of sell, which is at the minute sells of 200 billion or above. But yes, that's the current tax structure.
Okay, I think you actually did answer my question because I wanted to know if there was going to be a change in the sell and buy tax because most times we community we tend to stick with the original buy and sell tax, and then when it goes up, it affects the budgets we have and the whole lot of it. So I just wanted to know if there was going to be a change in it later on in the future. But good enough, you answered that. And I do have another question, because I noticed that you have implemented, a very interesting system for obtaining, NFTs. But so overproduction of assets sometimes do lead to devaluation and market distribution. So I don't know if there is a balance, or you can talk us through the balance that you have made of the production of NFT to avoid these problems that might arise.
We're not doing anything NFT related, mate. There's zero NFTs planned for the project at all. So I'm not sure where you read that, but I can confidently say here, recorded in front of everyone, if we do anything NFT related, it'll be for a bit of fun, a bit of jokes or whatever. We have no plan to step into NFTs or the NFT marketplaces or anything relating to that whatsoever. And to go back to your first question about the taxes, the taxes are changeable, but we have no plans, or discuss no plans to raise the sell tax higher than 20%. So I just want people to be aware of that, so they don't think we're going to suddenly, increase everyone's sell tax to 35 or 40%. There's no plans to do that. That's why we have the higher sell tax at the higher amounts to be sold. So that's just an anti-dump feature. But the sells of below 200 billion at the moment, and that's also interchangeable, by the way. Everything's in the audit, by the way. You can read it. We've hard coded parameters in so that we can't just take it down to one coin. You get taxed at 99%. All of that's hard coded by the zero sort of high risk or red flags in the audit that's come up on the Solidity Finance. It's all hard coded to protect you guys. But we have no plans to raise buy tax to 20%, raise sell tax to 25%, nothing like that. If anything, like I said, we've actually reduced the buy tax to make it easier for investors. So we've got the ability and flexibility to change it, but we have no plans to increase it more than what it is. It is set as it is. That's sort of the high point. If anything, it may come down in the future, but we have no plans to knock it up to 25 or 30% on normal sales.
All right. That's great. And I'm sorry about that, about the other question. I think that was another project I read on. Maybe it's
okay.
Just the I'm having here.
It's all good.
I'm just having some bosses here. So maybe, but thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And thank you, Morris.
Cheers,
Thanks,
Thank you.
Anderson. doing too much research over there.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life. Sometimes it's tough, man. I'll be like, yeah, for this, and they'll be like, that was maybe a different project. I'm like, oh my god. I'm normally pretty good, but once in a blue moon, if I don't have enough sleep or something.
Yeah.
So we'll go here to Pop. I don't know if we've heard Pop in a long time, so Pop, we'll give you the floor, and then we'll maybe try and close out with one from the audience that was.
Guys, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm Maurice. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How
Good.
are you?
It's nice having you back out today.
Yeah. That's really good. It's really a great project, man. Really, I want to commend you guys for your presentation. I really appreciate that. I'm not going to answer my question. Yeah, how we make sure to make good volume after initial bump and dump, because most projects never makes it out of this initial dump. So how will you keep the community positive and maintain good volume for investors' confidence?
Yeah,
You
not a
get
bad
that?
question considering they're kind of in. Not a bad question considering they're kind of in that stage of the project right now. So pretty relevant to kind of where they've been over the last 36 hours or so.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, John, do you want to start this one, and then I'll.
I mean, the thing is, I've got like 5 answers in my head, so I'll pick one of the answers, or pick one or two, because I think this could be answered in loads of different ways. The one I'm going to answer it personally, because I'm just going through it now, is I am working so hard behind the scenes. It's absolutely insane. Like, I am actually losing sleep over it, but I'm actually tackling that as well, because I know that long term I need to sleep so I can actually stay on top of these things, and keep the ball rolling. So the utilities themselves, we know that now that we've launched, we're out there. We're out there for people to invest. We're out there for people to see how the coin works and all that kind of stuff. Because we were stressing like, what happens if people just can't buy? What happens if there's some problem in the contract? Amit was literally couldn't speak that much just before launch because he was so like, is it going to work? All this stuff. But thankfully it worked and we saw it work. So now it's about us showcasing what we can really do. So for me personally, and again, I know there's like 5 different answers for this question. For me personally, it's about showing everyone how hard we're going to work now and how we are going to get the utilities out, how we are going to grow them, we are going to scale them. So they are going to work, and then we're going to bring that income because they're utilities that are outside of the crypto space but feeding into the entire ecosystem of our coin. You'll see the income coming in. We'll be able to show you that, and then you'll show that we'll start getting in front of more people in terms of marketing. We'll show that we can build the utilities out and grow them. We'll show that we can give extra reflections when volume starts to go down, or if there are like big dumps or anything like that. We can continue operating as a business that has the holders of interest at heart, but constantly bringing the income in from the utilities. And that's, I'm just saying from my experience right now, because I am building those out right now. I'm building those income streams, and I would just love for you guys to see once we've got them more complete and we can just bring that income in, what we can really do for the project during those slower times. So I understand, again, that's just one version, and I'm sure Hamid's got another one to add, but yeah.
I think I'm going to say, being realistic, it's impossible to be able to really guarantee any level of volume.
Yeah. And
also, it's impossible to convince people, and neither should you convince people that, guaranteeing a certain volume is going to come in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Because no guarantees can ever be given. But what we've got is, we have got people selling, it's inevitable. Pre-sales happened, private sales happened. Some people are cashing out. One guy's just cashed out now. We had a bit of a pump in the chart. One guy literally cashed out in a bunch of 100 billion cells, his whole bag. And that's fine. We're going to get that. Our aim isn't to convince people in words, like Jono said. Our aim isn't to convince people and constantly tell you just wait. Our aim is to convince you guys by action, which is why our heads are down right now. We're not, out doing whatever and enjoying launch. We had that one Sunday off, and even then it was just busy doing, personal related.
Can you remember we
jobs
did
and
the
tasks.
launch, and then after that, me, you, and Prav got on a call, and for about 2 minutes, we're just like patting ourselves on the back. Well done, this is great, we've done it. And then suddenly it was like, so anyway, the user interface for the payment platform, and we're just straight into screen sharing and seeing and deciding what it should look like and all this kind of stuff.
That's it. We spent the next sort of hour or 2 hours discussing about the payment platform and the user experience and the user interface and what needs to change and what would be good and etc. Our aim isn't to convince people in words. Our aim is to convince people in action, and that's only going to happen when the utilities come out.
Yeah.
So right now, our sole focus, 100% of our focus is in marketing, like AMAs like this, so people can know about us, but also in getting that utility out. Then, with the marketing of the utility should hopefully convince people themselves with what it's bringing in.
Oh, that's really pretty good, man. Really appreciate it. I got one question more I would like to ask. Can I go on?
Go ahead.
I got one more question I would like to ask. Can I go on?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Pop, if you're ready.
But yeah, treasury is always a key factor when it comes to keeping the project go when there is instability or fall. But the question that I'm curious about is how is that treasury funded to keep it strong enough to support marketing and other parts of the project? You did that.
John, I think he's basically asking about your Forex trading.
So, I mean, first thing I will say is both me and Harmeet, we run businesses ourselves, and so we kind of understand, what it takes to make sure that there's a steady income stream coming in from whatever approach that we both have. So what we're doing is we're treating the entire ecosystem as a business, so then we're always on top of our ins and outs. So making sure that we are, net positive. So at the moment, because we need to focus on, you might think, well, why the order of the utilities that we've done them in? Well, the reason why for the order is purely because we got to look at, but from a practical point of view, which one's going to bring in income sooner and which one's scalable a little bit quicker. So hence why the messaging platform does come last, even though it's probably the most exciting to us. But we realized that if we went head on into just that, we could get to a point where it's almost fully developed, but we run out of funds. So we didn't want that to happen. So even though we've got funds to start the development of it, we wanted to make sure that we focused on the two that are going to bring in the most income, the most funds to be able to continue our projects. So with the Forex market, so with Forex trading, I'm just going to give you an example. There will be months where it'll be slower. There might not even be any profit as such, but obviously we don't make any losses. That's why the investors' money through the prop firms and everything that we explained. But it kind of gives us that versatility where as long as I continue the growth. I invest in my own education, by the way, just to give you guys a little bit about how I operate. I've just invested again in my education in regards to the Forex markets. And that's because it's not because I need to do it. It's more a case of the markets continuously change. By being part of a group and being around others who are, I'd say, some are actually better than me at trading, but that's the whole point. I want to learn from them. I'm always constantly changing with the markets. So it's about making sure that me and Harmeet are working on the utilities, making sure that they're sustainable and use our experiences to make sure that they're returning a net gain. If they stop giving us a net gain, then of course we will change what we're doing. We're not just going to keep hemorrhaging any money or anything like that. But again, we're just keeping that low risk at heart and making sure those income streams keep on building. And they will help us during those slow times when volume's low, when there's the crypto winters, when Bitcoin goes down. Our utilities will continue to grow or continue and sustain the whole integrity ecosystem.
I think it's important to add that actually our running costs are extremely low. None of us are taking a salary from the project. None of us.
That's true.
None of us have taken any money, saying we're going to get paid. We're going to pay ourselves regardless of how the project's doing. We're going to pay ourselves $5,000 a month or $4,000 a month. Or none of us are doing that. All of us have our own bags that we bought with our own money, and we're getting paid in reflection. So we're getting paid based off how well the business does. In the future, we may take a percentage of the reflections from the team wallet, which is all stated in the white paper, by the way. but that's way down the line when we're talking about the business being super established and income coming in. So the fact that our expenditure is so low, we don't need to, like, for example, the way things are right now and the way that the expenses are right now, we could last another 18 months without being in trouble, without being struggling with the way, even with development going the way that it is. So actually, I think it's about management of funds. It's about finding the right people to do the right job at the right price. It's about being, like Jono mentioned, net positive, making sure that we're getting more money in than is going out. And it's about those utilities bringing in that money. And that's why the Forex trading's there as well, to bring in the money from an external source. So it's not related to the volume of crypto, so that we do get those more regular monthly payouts to the business to allow the business to continue at full steam.
All right, really pretty good, man. I really love this project, man. Thanks, Maurice, for the opportunity. I really to the moon with the project.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Cheers for the question.
Thank you very much, Pop. Thank you.
Again, I appreciate you taking some time, Pop. I don't remember the last time we've had you on here for questions. So, again, just really wanted to say thank you. I know it's been a bit of a longer AMA than we had planned, but I do have to wrap just because we have another project set to come on. I pushed them back till 9 p.m. UTC just to give us a little bit of extra time here to chat. And I just really appreciated the opportunity to kind of get to connect with you guys on this one and learn a little bit more. As you mentioned, I know you've been active in the space.
Thanks. Yeah,
thank you for having us.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely recognize the name. I've seen, maybe been in the Telegram or chatted with you previously. Maybe honestly, I feel like I have. I definitely feel like I've seen the project before, at least been in your community at some point before I started talking to Jono a couple of weeks back. So
I was just thinking, was it because I sent you so many messages? You were like, "Oh God, is this integrity guy?"
No, it was definitely before that. I feel like I've seen you guys in the.
It was probably around February, March time. Like I said, there was loads of hype surrounding us at that point. You probably caught wind of it then.
I would have seen you then, but it's just really good to know that you guys have stayed active with it, continue to build up the community, to continue to focus on how you can put value into the project outside of what every other crypto project does, right? So that you could actually try and stand out and build it up for the long term. And I mean, those 15% reflections for individuals are phenomenal. To start, I know it's a little bit smaller right now with the 15% buy tax. So is it 13 on the reflections right now for PUSD or?
Yeah, 13 reflections, 2 to the liquidity pool, and 0% to buyback and burn, because we wanted to give more in reflections. The burn is going to happen, but we're happy for that to happen at a slightly slower pace. So we reduced 1 for the reflections and 1% from the liquidity pool. Sorry, 1% from the the 1% buyback and burn gone and 1% liquidity pool gone. Sorry, I was trying to remember what we took off from where to make it that.
To keep the BUSD still really high, but
keep the BUSD higher. Yeah,
a bigger difference in reflections cost.
And it's been a pleasure hosting you guys. Honestly, you're just you're easy to talk to. I like how you explain your answers. You definitely lay things out for people in a way that's outside of some of Jono's technical Forex stuff. It's pretty easy to comprehend there. So again, it's for me pretty solid. I can't wait to see how you guys build it up. I'm actually really excited to see what you guys have in place for that September 21st AMA. So I'll be active, and I can't wait to see what you guys divulge, because a project like this, you both kind of understand there may be some stagnant periods on the chart where there's not a ton of volume, but again, it's about trying to achieve those milestones, and at some point, it catches, right? And that's the thing. It's you do things, and we talked about this in an AMA with kind of the concept of passive income. I think it was Dr. DeFi, one of our community members, who used this analogy of passive income, and I think it's like that for projects that are focused a little bit more on development versus caring about a chart in the early stages. It's it happens slower than you want it to, but then quicker than you can ever kind of imagine it will. That's the way he phrased it, and I loved that saying. Honestly, I thought that was phenomenal. So I'll have to give him credit. I'll have to give Dr. DeFi the trademark for that one. But I think it's relevant for a project like this too, in terms of the way you guys seem to approach your answers, approach your thought process behind it. And it's refreshing, because I think as an investor, if you're not, rushing or feeling kind of panicked, I think it can kind of reflect back to them, hopefully, and have a bit more of a calm kind of demeanor within the community. So again, guys, I'll pass it to you to officially close things out, kind of put out your call to action and everything, but just appreciate the extra time.
Thank you for having us. Thank you guys thank you, Maurice, for having us on your channel, and thank you guys for staying behind and listening to nearly sort of 2 hours of us constantly talking. It's a lot of talking, and I appreciate you guys bearing with us to hear it. So thank you so much for that. Just want to say, like I said, it's right now. I know people may struggle to see what we're planning to build. It's not what's usually heard of in the crypto space. It might not be what you're used to, particularly with the utilities, or what we're trying to build. People are used to, the typical, and we're not going for the typical. We're going for something different. We are going for a truly passive income token where that money is coming to you guys. Hence the airdrop feature, hence all the different revenue generating utilities and the way that we plan to distribute it to you guys. So what I would say is that, if you decide to invest in us, welcome to the Integrity family. We are working solidly behind the clock to provide you guys with what we are saying we're going to provide with. And we just want to say, if you have any questions or anything else that you feel hasn't been answered, please do join our Telegram group. We're always there. The mods are always there. There's always someone there to answer your questions. And hopefully we'll see you guys in there, and hopefully you do choose to invest in us. John, if you've got anything you want to add?
I think you literally said everything that I was thinking of saying. I'm like, yep, tick, 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 tick. So no, I just want to say, Maurice, thank you for putting up with me and all my messages. I was like hounding you guys to, about everything. So appreciate that as well. And thanks for having us in this group, and thanks for everyone sitting through us just talking about our project. We literally could talk about it all day long, especially if you got me on trading and different strategies and different aspects. You were saying earlier about you get confused about different projects. Like the guy thought that we had talking about NFTs and stuff. I do that with strategies on Forex. I do that all the time, and I'm like talking about one thing, and I'm like, wait, no, scrap everything I just said the last 5 minutes. I'm getting confused. So just thank you everyone for joining us today, and please join the Telegram group. It'll be great to see you in there, and then you can ask us loads of questions. You can ask me about Forex. Harmeet is definitely the person who asked about numbers to do with the coin, but I'll happily talk all day about income streams and Forex. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, if you need any tips on keeping those teeth clean too, he's got you.
There you go. Exactly.
I whitened these once, right, 4 years ago, and I don't know how they stay like this. This is strange, and it wasn't even that expensive either.
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to get mine whitened once I get my braces, the Invisalign things off. So.
Oh, they're gonna look.
I do Invisalign.
Oh yeah, of course. Dentist over here, expert.
I'm an Invisalign provider.
Yeah.
With my iTero digital scanner. And
guys,
all that
here's the link in the description.
So nice. I remember, kids growing up with. I never needed them until my wisdom teeth started coming in, and then it pushed the spacing in my mouth when I got older. But as a kid, I didn't need them, so I was lucky. And that process versus what my friends grew up with as kids, I'm like, whoo, I got lucky with that.
The train tracks along your teeth.
On the
helmet.
Oh
god, yeah, it's definitely, things have changed drastically. Yeah. But this isn't a dental AMA, so if I start talking about dentistry,
we'll all fall asleep. We'll all fall asleep
for another 2 hours.
Yeah, and then if you get on about Harmeet's beard.
Well, we should definitely chat offline. I don't know if John, if you wanted to make a group or something like that for the three of us, but if you did, definitely set it up, and we could always just kind of chat in a little group chat there. If there's anything coming up, you can keep me updated on the project and vice versa. So I'll send you the recording, and then if you wanted to set up that group chat, That'd be cool too. I'm gonna also send Harmeet just a quick DM.
Then you got 10 Maurices messaging you. You got to guess which one it is.
That's exactly it. That's exactly why I'm sending you one, so that you can
I'll
actually just
reply back.
Yeah.
I'll reply.
to the side.
I support.
Just
Do
send
you
it
need
to me
help?
from
Click
the
this
AMA.
link.
Honestly, dude, there's so many of them. Every project I AMA, it seems like he messages. So it's like,
Oh,
if I don't have a conversation on history, I always DM the team member just so they know
yeah.
it's me, because this guy has gone after projects we've AMA'd and talked to a different member than I have a conversation with,
Crazy.
and plays off like because he maybe listened or listened to a recording and will like mention a few facts and they think it's me, and then they'll like pay him for the next update.
Ooh,
And then they're like, "Hey, bro, why didn't you post?" I'm like, "Post what?"
yeah.
They're like, "What do you mean? You deleted the conversation history." I was like, "Send me the username." They're like, "That." I was like, "That's not me." They're like, "Oh man, he was so good." I'm like, "Yeah." Honestly, I mean, if for them it's easy money, they don't have to do anything but pretend to be someone,
true.
so it's not that hard.
Wait till our messaging platform comes out. That'll be cleared up completely.
Harmeet got
That'll
it
be
there
gone.
in that one, didn't you? Just.
That'll be gone. Just wait till that comes out.
Jumped on
As
it.
well, thank you so much. If you wanted to pop off mute there, what did you do for the giveaways so far?
Hey, bro. Sorry, it went on mute there. I did 0.2 in the chat giveaways, so I think we still got 0.4 left to do.
No, we got a bit more on this one. It was a tier 1, so we do have a little bit extra to give out. So I liked the questions from
that's
Greed
fair.
on this one. So I'll probably give him the 0.1 on that. And then just the rest, you can
Yep.
split it between random and the participation, the ones that sent to you that maybe we just couldn't get asked. I did hog a little bit of mic time on this one, so apologies.
You able to hear me still?
I can hear you
Okay.
on my end.
Sorry, I just got bad service here.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Can hear the crickets in the background.
Yeah. Trying to get some time outside.
Yeah.
Beauty. Yeah, it's been a pretty nice day out today. Compared to yesterday, it was still rainy, and I think it's supposed to be kind of crappy the next few.
Rain? Well, we never rain in the UK.
It's
Yeah, we
always
haven't
dry
had as
here.
much of it as we normally do in Canada either this summer. It's been pretty drought-like for most of the summer.
Wow. On and off for us. Been hotter than usual, which is nice. Nice
Yeah,
change.
you guys have had that heat wave though, haven't you?
Yeah, and we all suffered. While the rest of the world
Yeah, 'cause
just
you guys
laughed at
don't
us.
have AC. That's what it blows my mind that a lot of the buildings and like apartments and stuff don't have AC units. Because again, I get it. Like when they're built, you didn't have this global warming and these climate shifts, right?
Yeah, like 95% of buildings in the UK don't have aircon.
Yeah, it's horrible when it gets hot here. It's disgusting heat.
Yeah. Just sit and suffer.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to make a move. I do apologize. I don't mean to be rude.
If you have to jump off, that's fine. Buck's just going to be doing a couple of the giveaways here, and then we have our next AMA jumping on in about 5 or so. So we're just kind of in that transition stage. So if you guys need to jump off, as I think I actually have the recording already hit my inbox here. Yep. So let me just send it over to Jono before I let you go. That way I don't forget, and then I don't jump off later, and then you don't get it till tomorrow morning, because sometimes that happens. I'll send it as well to Harmeet, just so you both have a copy for your records. Perfect. All right, it's been sent to both of you guys.
Cheers. Got it.
Perfect. Yeah, no, awesome
Thank you very
discussion,
much.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Really a good chat, and I can't wait to see how you guys can build this one up. It's definitely interesting. You don't hear about this kind of idea very often, so I'm gonna be following it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Join our AMA on the 21st.
Yes, sir. That's a good
21st
one.
September.
Awesome. Thanks for having us,
It's,
Awesome.
Maurice.
I'll see you guys. we'll chat well before then, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
100%. We'll create that group. We'll have the group with the three of us in there.
Yep. But I'll have some food first.
That sounds good. I think that's what we'll be able to kind of keep info shared, and I'll bring my coordinator Buck in there too. If that way I'm ever slow, he can always give me a prompt like, "Hey man, just be quicker to answer these guys."
Yeah. Cheers,
That's
man.
great. Thank you very much, guys. Well, I'm going to make a move. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for having us, and hopefully speak to you again very soon.
You guys have a great evening. I know it's it's 10 o'clock over there. Oh,
Yeah.
9 o'clock over there.
I've not even had dinner yet.
Settle down and get some grub.
I need to get some tea, so.
Yeah, exactly. Some tea and some food.
Yes, please. Cheers, Maurice.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks again so much.